It's the Brad and John Show.
The Brad and John Show for Tuesday, February 19th. This is B Block, which means we started right about 7:20. We're a little bit late this morning. Okay, John, you sent me that picture. What's this lady's name again?
I think it's Andrea Jensen. It's something like that. She's a mid-Missouri progressive organizer.
Those glasses don't look too bad. They're not super, I mean, they're white, and they're not super wide frame. Like the Dawn Chapman glasses, like make these look like nothing compared, to the...
Yeah, for folks who don't know, if you're just joining us in this segment, Brad's talking about a picture I just sent Brad. Today is February 18th, and there was a protest in Columbia, Missouri in Jefferson City yesterday. And there was one of the organizers there had some very, I don't know, to me, they're very unique glasses on. And so I sent Brad the picture.
What's this lady's name again?
I think it's Andrea Jensen. I don't have it in front of me right now.
See, John, she's a very attractive woman. You don't think she's an attractive woman? Okay, I won't go any further. John's not going to answer that question. Okay, moving right on.
Hey, a lot of people, people have different tastes, Brad.
It reminds me of someone who I still talk with from time to time, who I have tremendous respect for, and I won't give a clue. And once upon a time, he worked for me for several years, and not necessarily the tallest guy in the world, but 5'6", very good-looking guy, very handsome-looking guy. And what's interesting was he loved tall women, and he would not really be interested in any woman unless they were at least 2 or 3 inches taller than him. So remember, he's like 5'6". And when he would have a woman who he would start to date, he would go buy them, and John would love this, not comfy shoes, but like stiletto heels, like 3, 4, 5-inch heels. He wanted the women to tower over him. And I always thought that was so sort of interesting, because it's like, I've said this before, and I get myself in trouble when we've talked about this, and John's going to say, well, you said that last week. Go to a nursing...
You said it on Friday. It was a great story on Friday, Brad.
Go to a nursing home and look at the male to female ratio there, okay? I say there should be a state law in the state of Missouri, if we're going to be Republicans and dictate, abortions and things like that. We should have a state law that in marriages in the state of Missouri, all men have to be at least 5 years younger than their brides to be married in the state of Missouri. Otherwise, they will not issue a marriage license, because of the fact that it's a fact that men die early. And most relationships, the man is older than the woman. So how do you fix that problem? You just make it a law that states that, if you are going to get married and your girlfriend, your fiance is 30 and you're 31, no, illegal. And you've got to be 25 or younger in order to marry that 30-year-old woman. What do you think, John?
Yeah, I mean, I think is the idea that everybody's going to die within the same period of relatively within a couple years of each other?
Well, yeah, because most women, I mean, once you get into your 60s and 70s, there's a lot of women out there who are widows, but there aren't that many dudes that are widowers. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and don't think that those women deserve to have a few years of silence. Like, imagine living with a Brad Hildebrand. Wouldn't you want to cap off your life with just a few years of relative silence after hearing Brad gab on and on for however many decades?
John.
Like, don't they deserve a little bit of silence? It's very misogynistic of you to think that women just want to have accompaniment by a man over a period of time. Let her crochet. You know what I mean? Let her hair get brittle and fall out in silence,
Okay. Talking about ages, have you seen this stuff with Elon Musk when he's going through the Social Security database? Have you seen this story?
No, I haven't seen this.
There are, here's the headline. Elon Musk says millions in Social Security database are between the ages of 100 and 159.
Oh, yeah, and almost I saw something great from our friend Jeff Sean, friend of the show down in Southeast Missouri, because he just posted something that was to the effect of, yeah, imagine how many of those people were voting that whole time.
Well, I never thought of that, right? They're still on the voting rolls.
Imagine how many, if they're getting a Social Security check, they're surely voting.
Okay, I know people, I shouldn't tell the story because I may out someone, but I know people that there were cases, and this is not necessarily in the St. Louis area, it probably happens here in the St. Louis area, where the spouse died and somehow or another the body disappeared and nobody saw the husband for years and years and years, and yet this, the I guess when you're married, if you're both retired, do you both get Social Security checks? How does that work? Is that the way it works? So the man and the woman?
I have no idea. I was born in the 70s, so I have no idea.
Well, I think that was the case, and the idea being if you hid your partner's death, then you kept getting both Social Security checks.
That's pretty great.
Well,
that's ingenious. I think it'd be harder to pull off in 2025 than it was in 75. You know?
I have a question which I've asked before, and I never get an answer talking about Social Security number. Okay, we have the Social Security system, and you have a number which is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9-digit number, correct? Isn't that your Social Security number? It's 9-digit. Okay. If you go to, when you talk 9 digits, you're talking, there could conceivably be 999,999,999 Social Security numbers, correct?
So when will we run out is your question.
One shy of a billion, okay? If we've had numerous people born and raised and, who have been born and assigned a Social Security number and then passed away, and currently we have, 330 million or something like that in the United States, don't you think we'd be at the end of the unique numbers where they wouldn't repeat numbers anymore? I mean,
Yeah, you would think so, Brad. You would think that at this point we mathematically we would have repeated some. I don't know. We might need a math expert or a government expert to come in here and answer that question.
Back in the day, I don't know if this changed with you, John. Back in the day, when I was born, I did not have a Social Security number until I think when I had to get my driver's license. I think when I got my first job, I think I had to apply for a Social Security number. Now you are issued one at birth, correct? Isn't that the way it is? Your kids are younger.
Yeah, you are. You sure are.
They were issued a Social Security number at birth, okay? And that was one of the scams that people would get little kids' Social Security numbers and set up fake credit reports and stuff like that because of the fact that if you're 6 years old, you're not checking your credit bureau. You know what I'm saying?
You weren't checking your credit score when you were 6 years old, Brad?
No, and don't get into that thing with me with I go into the Dave Ramsey mode where he claims, and I don't know if this is possible, he claims he does not have a credit score. And I'm thinking to myself, how is that possible? Today, everything that is today, he said, I don't have a credit score. I don't know how that's possible. Anyway.
I don't know how it is either. Brad, are you able, I got to ask you a multitasking question. Are you so adept at social media that you're able to post things immediately after we talk about them on the air? So, for example, are you able to post things like, say, pictures of high heels immediately after we talk about them? Or do you have little gnomes working for you that post one thing to every one of your platforms?
John, I don't know what you're talking about.
It's pretty remarkable, Brad. And I will follow some of these accounts after they've been around for a while. It's pretty amazing, Brad.
John, see, once again, Brad, this is John looking at Brad. John thinks, oh, well, the show's done, and Brad can't wait to get off the air. Like yesterday, we got off at 7:58 or something like that. We got off early, wasn't it?
No, we were definitely 3 or 4 minutes over yesterday.
Oh, do you mean I put in more time than I was supposed to? How is that possible?
You did. Go ahead, though.
No, John thinks that I get done at 8 o'clock and I go back to bed and I lounge around all day. I'm moving and grooving all day, dude. I'm telling you.
I know, and you always have been. It was just doing other stuff. It was never a matter of you not working on stuff for the stations. It was just a matter of you doing things like managing transmitters and all kinds of operational stuff, Brad.
Well, I guess.
And I love the fact that you do, as someone we know and love describes as boomer tweeting. So you'll do boomer tweeting and you'll put the @ thing at the wrong thing and people won't see it and other stuff like that. But as I've told this person before, it's the effort that we love and that we appreciate. Even if it's boomer tweeting, it's still progress,
Okay.
Like, I'm not going to yell at an 8-year-old that's missing the cutoff man as long as he's getting the ball to the infield. You get what I'm saying?
So explain boomer tweeting.
Boomer tweeting would be like, if I wanted to tweet at, let's say, our friend, I won't even say a name or all of a sudden you'll start tweeting at them. If I wanted to tweet at our friend Camellia, I wouldn't just tweet at Rear Camellia if I wanted everybody to see it. I have to put a period in front of it or else other people won't see it. Or else the only person that would see it would be Camellia. You get what I'm saying?
Okay. So
it won't show up in other. Now, I don't want to. Oh, by the way, here's the other thing that I think you should do, and this is very micromanagey, and you could take it as for what you're worth. I think your tweets and your LinkedIn posts and your Facebook posts are so good that you should do what you do on the BJ Show website which is written by Brad Hildebrand. You get what I'm saying?
Now
I think in the bio thing you should say that.
Now you're really making fun of me because
no, I'm not. I think you should say tweets by Brad Hildebrand or Facebook posts by Brad Hildebrand.
Why would I do that?
Because people don't think. I don't want people thinking it's me.
Now the truth comes out. Okay.
Because if you have a post that says John is a stud, Brad is a geek, I don't want people thinking that I'm calling myself a stud. You see what I'm saying?
Well, you wrote it. I mean, shouldn't you own up to it, John? I mean, shouldn't you wrote up the
fact? Again, I'm not. I mean, hey, listen. Again, I'm glad that the outfielder's getting the ball into the infield. I'm not going to yell at him because he's not thrown to the shortstop instead of the second baseman. You get what I'm saying?
Did I criticize you for you calling me a geek? I have no problem with that, John. You can call me a geek all the way.
Brad, you're wonderful.
Well, so John doesn't like it when I don't do things, and when I do things, he's critical of them.
I just said I'm not critical. Well, it goes back to the fundamental thing, Brad. One of the things that I won't change about you is that you have an inability to accept a sincere compliment. So when I say that you're doing a great job on everything that you're doing, you immediately brush it off. You treat it like something on the bottom of your shoe, and then you move on. And that's okay. But people who listen to the show accept that I say, wow, Brad, all this stuff that you've done, particularly in the last month, you're on a roll. It's time to go solo, you know?
And during the break there, people don't realize, but when we get off the air, we can actually talk back and forth because we're not in the same studio. John says, Brad, have I ever told you got a great voice? You sound just like burnt toast. And I said, thanks, John. I appreciate that. You're so kind to me. Okay, we'll move on from that. Okay, here we go again. James Carville, okay? James Carville, and this is amazing to me. This came out on Friday, and it came out Friday in the afternoon. That's why we didn't talk about it. This is the headline. Carville admits Trump fast pace is leaving Democrats reeling. Quote, we are overwhelmed. And he's essentially saying that the Democrats are being beaten at their own game. That the Democrats are essentially being flat-footed, or whatever you call it, are, in John's parlance, they're not hitting the cutoff, man. They're not even throwing the ball into the infield. Matter of fact, they're letting the ball roll out into the outfield and just watching and say, oh, maybe it'll stop soon. That's what the Democrats are doing. And the crazy thing about this is the article is pretty interesting because if you know who Carville is, they call him the Serpent Head. I mean, the Democrats should, whoever they're listening to, whoever their main people are, the David Hoggs of the world, fire them and put Carville back in charge because he gets it. Because so many people, I mean, to this day, how many times during the election do we hear the conclusion that Hitler is Trump and Trump is Hitler, okay?
Yeah.
And
all the time, every day.
All the time. And he's this and he's that and blah, 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 blah. And now you hear the thing that's going on, which I do think is interesting because all these charges against the New York mayor, good old Eric, are being dismissed by the Justice Department. And what is it? There's 7 Justice Department attorneys that worked in that case that resigned. And I'm thinking to myself, well, that sort of rolls right into Trump's thing. He's getting rid of people. They've resigned. He doesn't have to fire them. He says, hey, you resigned.
Yeah, exactly.
I just don't get it. I don't get it. By the way, did I tell you this? I forgot to mention this last week. I think it was a week ago tonight that Brendan Carr, he's been on the FCC, he's one of the FCC commissioners, but the way it works is there's 5 commissioners, and the way it works is it's 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans, depending upon who's in charge is the commissioner. So in other words, it was a Democratic woman up until Trump took over. Now it's Brendan Carr who is the chairman, and they bring in another person, okay? He was on, of all people, and I thought this was fascinating, he was on Dana Lash's show last week. And I was driving back home one night and heard it, and it was really interesting. And he said the FCC, remember we talked about this, that the Homeland Security people were going to do these raids in certain cities, and they were tipped off by radio stations. He said they're going after the radio stations' licenses.
Wow, incredible.
Now, and I'm thinking to myself, do you think they'll go after KWMU? Because remember, we had the program where, what's her name again? Elaine Cha? Elaine Cha had the lady on
Yeah.
with the local phone number where the lady's telling, well, here's what we do. And when we know they're ICE people in St. Louis, we put the word out on our Facebook channels and people can call us and we put that on our website. I'm going, isn't that essentially the same thing?
That's aiding and abetting criminals.
Exactly. That's what
Brendan Carr is actually spotted in St. Louis. He was climbing up a transmitter at Concordia Seminary. Did you hear the story? He got tipped off by some guy who gives his number out over the air. Like, who does that? Who was like, hey, you should check out the signal stuff going on. I got some idea. So apparently Brendan Carr actually climbed the transmitter at Concordia. And when they busted him, he's like, hey, I'm studying to be a member of the clergy. Like, this is part of my thing. I'm getting up here so I can see, and like, anyway, he had like a whole explanation for it. But anyway, he was prepping for a lunchtime meeting today, but joke's on him because it's snowing. So I don't even think that meeting's going to happen.
For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, what was that, a week and a half ago? The story was that you had that as one of your top three, that there's a St. Louis phone number that you can call and you can report ICE activity. And essentially what they're doing, it's like a hotline. And, all the people who would potentially be rounded up by ICE would call this number. Oh, we just saw Homeland Security pull into St. Louis.
Yeah, you could narc on the narcs, essentially.
Right, essentially.
Narc on the narcs.
But see, the interesting part of that is, years ago, okay, now, having said that, I will say this. Maybe let's hold it to C Block, because there was an interesting law that went into effect years ago in Des Peres, and immediately a lot of people cried foul on this law. And I did as well, too. I thought, okay, this is just ridiculous.
Oh, I know what it was. You can't operate a yacht on River Des Peres unless you have a proper permit, right?
No. And once again, here I say that again. John, I stumped John when I said River Des Peres. And I could ask this to probably 100 dyed-in-the-wool St. Louisans. And here's the trivia question. Where does the River Des Peres start? What city?
North St. Louis County. I didn't know until you told me.
Creve Coeur. Now, here's interesting. Do you consider Creve Coeur North County?
Of course not.
Okay, but it's north of Delmar.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but North County, I don't consider Bridgeton North County.
You don't consider Bridgeton North County?
No.
Is Maryland
I think
Heights?
they're an affiliate. Like, you know how you had a group of friends in high school and there was like a dude that wasn't in your clique of friends, but like you'd hang out with him. He was cool.
Right.
Like,
no.
To me, that's Bridgeton. Like, Pattonville is not Pattonville. I don't know. Like, I don't claim them. You got to be from Ferguson. You got to be from Blackjack. I don't know.
No, the guy you hung out with in school was a guy who had a car and a driver's license. That's the guy you hung out with, right?
That's true.
Yeah, not anymore, because kids don't get their driver's license anymore. Okay.